So to preface this, before we even introduce as our normal kind of way, I do not blame Yoshi P or Square Enix for any of this. This is just coming to a conversation about the things that are a bummer, are a bummer from all the excitement and all the beauty that was this weekend. But I think it's important for us to talk about it because there are some bummers. But hi everybody, this is Brian.
This is Chris.
Welcome to the Bummer Fest. Slightly. I think essentially when I look at kind of the three takeaways that we didn't get, that we're hoping for, and whether these are my misaligned expectations or not, I think Ultimate is the first one that we want to talk about.
By far.
Getting pushed, obviously not just pushed once. This is pushed from 5.3 to the 5.5, and that made sense. COVID is the person to blame, is the blame game right there for why all this stuff happened. But then missing 5.5, I was really excited to see what that meant for the 14 community. As a non-Ultimate Raider, I was excited to watch it. I was excited to, as people come into the game for Endwalker hype. Ultimate, like people are like, what is this content? This is insane. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV, everybody. Unfortunately, we're not going to have that this time. And then no limited job, and I think essentially that is better paired the fact that Ultimate got pushed, because I mean, imagine waiting for Ultimate for over a year and then it's like, oh, but by the way, here's
it's different teams, but it wouldn't feel like that, right?
Yeah, it wouldn't feel like that.
It's like, well, they should have stopped what they were doing and working on Ultimate. It's like, well, they're different people, but it would have felt like
it's the same issue that we see when some people in the community bring it up when they are like, hey, here's this new UI element. Stop working on UI elements and work on this thing dungeons. That I'm, dungeons. It's like different teams, different people with different skill sets, all doing different things. No, it's like, like that's not, how it's not, it doesn't translate to a one-to-one kind of thing in that case.
Right. Why did the professional salad maker not help make more steaks? It's like, that's not really his thing.
That's a great analogy. That's perfect. And then finally for me, the biggest takeaway was hoping to see is an Xbox announcement. And no matter what, when I talk about that, comments seem to rage either in the pro Xbox camp or the pro PlayStation camp. And don't get me wrong,
Yoshi P wants it on more platforms.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, all these platforms suck. Like, they all do something wrong to gamers at some point. And, if you think that Sony is flawless, just go talk to somebody about Genshin Impact. Like there's always a room for somebody to make a mistake. You got a preferred platform, that's great. I just want more people into this game. And now I know that just because I opened up that can of worms, like, comment section's lost. Sorry to anybody who steps into that.
I want to talk a lot about everything we've learned, and as you see people going back, and we especially for the live letter portion, we were operating off of a limited translation that is put out by the community, and that's an immense gift in the moment to be able to understand. But even that group of people goes back and says, okay, let's go back and let's see if we can find better translations for the word. Not how I first heard it and translated it in real time and don't have time to go back, but let's go back and say, did they really say that? Did they really mean that? And so, like, as information continues to trickle out, as we have more events, there's a lot of positivity around this expansion, both as content creators and as players. I'm really excited. But it doesn't mean I have to like all of it, and it doesn't mean anything I don't like has to be someone's fault. It doesn't have to be Square Enix did it wrong. Much of it is COVID, which is outside of everybody's control. And I think this is one chance for you and I to sit down and just talk about, let's just get the negative things off our chest. I know that somewhere there will be a Reddit post that says, Work to Game was nothing but negative about this. This is the one. Just gonna do one, and then we can go back to talking about all the things I'm super stoked about.
It's therapeutic. It's healing in a way.
It is. I just want to get it off my chest. It's not flawless. So Ultimate first.
Now, the good news on the Ultimate, as a negative post in this case, is the Dragon Song War. Like, that's what they're imagining.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad they're ready to reveal.
Be cool. And well, at least they got that. Like,
you paying attention, Blizzard? If you have bad news, give us good news.
Yeah, give us good news at the same time. The core of it, it all stems back to like talking, with the community, the raiding community, and like over the summer, like that ended up being a longer summer, like because everything got delayed. Yeah. And Yoshi P coming out saying like, we pushed it back, but we're not going to settle content. And the reason why Ultimate had to get pushed was because it was impacting Endwalker. I keep saying Edgewalker. And so I think essentially, like, obviously, I think the expansion is probably the better priority. Like, when you look at the amount of people who Ultimate is for. Yes. So it's like, but it was still like, I just envisioned just this insane build up to the expansion, because every time, like even right now, like you can see it in our stats. Every like video that's like, "Hey, welcome to 14," is like people are interested in it because this trailer gets out in front of people. And we were in, you were streaming, and people are asking like, what kind of end game is there for this game? Like, I'm thinking about coming over from WoW, and you're kind of the perfect candidate because you play WoW and Final Fantasy XIV at the same time. So it's like, okay, well, let's talk about what this thing is. Oh, and we have this ultimate thing, and it's insane, and it's also protected. Like, they're not going to sit here and allow it to become easier over time. It's just going to be what it is, and it's going to be that challenge for that ultimate bragging rights that you can go after. And to see like how I just vision this future, this summer of, what are you doing? Oh, you're prepping for the expansion, and these guys are over here doing this like insanely hard content, like endangering their lives. Yoshi P saying, "For the love of God, take a break," and doing this kind of thing, and all of it, all the eyeballs being on 14 as we build up to the expansion, as the expansion drops, and just how exciting that is within this community, because you get this every 2 years. It's electric, and so that's kind of the biggest takeaway of disappointment. A, as somebody who consumes content, but also B, as somebody who's a part of this community, wanting to see the buzz and the hype around it.
I think also you have to think about it in the total context of the gap. So our last Savage tier was last patch, right? So we're not getting more Savage.
No,
we'll get an Extreme trial, but our last big bulk has already been released.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've got this kind of February timeline where there are people still kind of getting their E12S clears.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I was listening to the Gamer Escape podcast, and I was hanging out, and they said it's not that big of a deal. It's the very first patch of the expansion. And I said, but that's 2022. And they said, no, it's not. I said, you have to think about this in the context of the other announcements.
Mm-hmm.
We're now looking at a fall release of 6.0,
mm-hmm.
not a May release, not a July release, fall.
Yeah.
That could be September. That could be October. It could get pushed. It could be November, which means from there to 6.1, you're very, very quickly talking about no Ultimate in 2021, and you were discussing that at the beginning of February.
Yeah.
That is a huge gap for people that are doing Savage,
mm-hmm.
because you're now talking about the last of Savage for the 5.x series and the first of Savage for the 6.x series, and there is no Ultimate just sitting dead centered in between. It's a huge gap. And so when you try to build a community, what a huge amount of time to have your part of the community, which is tied to the main battle system. This is mainline content. And you're going to McDonald's and they're like, yeah, we don't have any hamburgers. Today? No, not till September. What?
What happened?
What?
But you're also assuming that that's actually patch 6.1. It could be 6.15, which could even be further. So we could be looking at a year from now to actually see it.
It hurts. Like, I can feel myself. It makes me sick to my stomach to think about somebody that wants to play this game as an in-game raider and got this news.
Yeah. And so that's where my heart, like, that's definitely like the bummer. But I mean, when we look at how Yoshi P and the team, like, they go into the details, they go into explanation. I mean, they apologize profusely. There really isn't, and
no, there's nothing we can do.
Well, and especially here, and here's where I can hopefully provide some context as an engineer. Throwing resources on a project that's late will only make it later. Because that resource is not available and ready to just program and to code and to create assets day one. They do not come into a project going, I know everything about this project and how it all interacts with everything. So it's like it takes buildup, it takes time. So you have to take resources off of what you're doing to go train the resources to bring them up. So that's kind of like, this isn't really, I think, a technical thing or even a budgetary thing. I think it's a human resources thing in which that it's like, yeah, we're building up the talent. We're constantly trying to have that asset.
He said he was ready to approve overtime, and they said that's not going to fix it.
Right.
It wasn't a money issue.
Right.
Yoshi P was ready to write that check.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's a real bummer. I definitely
don't need money.
When they went into that,
no COVID. I need to go back in time and do things differently.
Yeah. That damn you, COVID. Oh gosh, that was frustrating. I think that's why I keep saying that even if they had a limited job ready, and I was just doing a podcast with the community. Where we were talking about like how they would actually prefer Beastmaster over Ultimate, because limited jobs have a wider range of people that are actually going to touch the content. I just think that if it was like if Beastmaster wasn't delayed, even though it's a different team, it would suck to be like, oh, by the way, here's the thing you've been looking forward to for over a year, and you're going to have to wait another year. And, you know, like, okay, the thing that you don't care about is here. Just that amount of frustration with the community. But I could say that it was really surprising not to hear anything about a limited job at this fan fest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say, to kind of finish on your last point there, I would say that let's just view the number of people that play a sport in college, right? You played college baseball. Mm-hmm. The number of people that play a sport in college versus the number of people that play professionally, and that's minor league people who kind of do it for a while, right? Let's think of that as the people who are in Savage now. And then major league, let's think of the people who take place in the world first race. They take off work, they play too many hours a day, and they just crank. That's a very small portion of even the people who play in college, much less the people who played in high school or who play pickup games on the side. And so this is literally the same as canceling an NBA season. Mm-hmm. And so it impacts the sport the whole way down. It doesn't necessarily do it right away. It mostly impacts the NBA players right away. But you have to wonder, if you have a tendency of canceling these things, keep in mind we only get 2 ultimates per expansion. Yeah. You have to wonder what the motivation is for the college players to want to take it serious enough to get to the pros, right? You're taking right off the top, it's that aspirational content. So you don't look at the number, the percentage of people that attempt it, the percentage of people that get the clear, the percentage of people that watch it on Twitch. It is you're chopping the top off of a mountain. Mm-hmm. And so it just overall shortens the whole mountain. And so the whole battle system gets cheaper if there's not a way to test it at the top level. Yeah. And so this is people who can play at a level I cannot. And so I think the whole thought of, well, they can just go play something else, I think is a really dangerous mindset. I think taking your very top level people, these are the people that write your guides. These are the people that sit in balanced discords. These are the people that help get a clear when somebody in your party is not doing the amount of DPS they should. Like, I'm not saying that everything should revolve around them or should revolve around that mindset, but it is an important part of a community that has a battle system core to its mainline content. Okay. It's a clear story. You still get pushed into group content, and you need people that can actually tank and heal and do damage. And thankfully that stuff is tuned where not all of us have to. You can have a bad day, but if you just take all of the people who can do it best and just kick them out for a year, do they come back?
I think so. I think that the reason
all
that
of them?
Who knows? Like, you may miss some and get some new ones, right? The game's, like attracting new people with the expansion cycle and more. And Endwalker could. It's a bummer. Like, that's the whole point of this video. It was just like that's the disappointment. I am disappointed that we didn't get anything on the limited side. Now, yeah. Well, I think it's so funny that people are saying Blue Mage is OP, because it is. Like, I've seen some insane.
That was the point.
Yeah, that was the point.
All people who said, like, why not let it in the battle system? And then now, like, you get to see it run Circus Tower, and you're like, no, this is why it's not allowed in the battle system.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
And that's only on Circus Tower. If that's only limited to level 50, 60 and more, like, all of a sudden it just gets even more insane. I think, though, one of the things I've been waiting for the limited system itself, just to have a better kind of opinion on whether it was worth it or not, is the second limited job that kind of fills in, like, hey, how do these play together? Like, how is this going to look ultimately? And, especially, I think I've been wanting a beastmaster in this game. I love pets, and I'd love to see like a limited pet system, because that would be cool.
Tie into that sanctuary.
Same thing with Puppet Master.
Let's grow some pets.
Let's grow those daggum pets. Man, who knows? Like, maybe that ends up making the most sense, but that's where it's like, I'm like, that would kind of be neat. And so I was really caught off guard by that. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I guess it makes sense that if it isn't ready, like, and we didn't know that because it's not like they were like, we're going to talk about limited coming up. There's no point if it's delayed to sit here and be like, by the way, with this thing you assumed was happening, but we never confirmed, it got delayed. It's like,
that's fair. I think that is the lesson learned from Blue Mage. People are going to be mad when they guess, so don't let people guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, to really just dial it to the far extreme, what if it's in a part 2 live letter?
Oh, by the way.
We're here to show gameplay today. Oh. Did we not mention you're getting a limited job in 2 weeks? Like, and just drop it on us.
That's almost what they did with Blue, though. Like, it was
quick.
It was fast, because it was like they announced it at FanFest.
I thought it was going to be next expansion. They're like, it's next patch.
It ended up being like a month.
It was a part 1 of a live letter.
Yeah.
At a fan fest.
Yeah, it was the CEO came out and was like, I'm dressed like a Blue Mage.
Everybody's like, oh, Blue Mage primary job. And
limited job. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think you hit a good point there that, like, right now we know what Blue Mage does, but there's 2 sets of restrictions happening there. There's what is a limited job.
Yeah.
and there's what is a blue mage.
Yeah.
And until we have a second one, we don't know, are they all in the carnival? Do they all have a single player team? Do they all have a weird way of learning abilities? Are they all not allowed in deep dungeon? Like, what are the rules that are blue mage and what are the rules that are limited job? And the only way to separate the two is to have a second limited job, and we could go, oh, that's different than blue mage. Okay, that's the same as blue mage. That's starting to be what they have in common.
Yeah.
And so right now we don't have that. And so we can only guess at what portions of it are really limited and what portions of it are just their interpretation of a blue mage, which I know is not everybody's. And I know not everybody likes the blue mage. I just still think that just like adding deep dungeon, just like adding Ishgard restoration, I think that it's a thing that got people doing stuff they weren't doing otherwise. And that's kind of one of the fun parts of MMOs.
Absolutely. And then the final kind of bummer, obviously I was really disappointed that we didn't see anything about Xbox.
Yeah. More platforms.
And okay, like I say that at the same time saying I'm thrilled that PS5 client is coming out on 13th.
Yeah, 4K.
Yes, like that's great. And as somebody who's waiting to get my PS5, especially with I'm hoping for a Final Fantasy XIV PS5 edition. I've never gotten one of those. I've never gotten like a special edition console, so I'm kind of hoping.
We got the Scorpion edition.
Yeah, but that's not like a Xbox game one. But that was like you pre-order.
Okay, yeah, my brother got the Gears of War. Xbox.
Yeah, like I even wanted that. I wanted the Gears of War, but I was like, I can't justify that. Like I already have.
Because you had a working Xbox. His died, so he was like, well, I need one.
And so I've been waiting since my PlayStation died, and I was like, okay, yeah. And then it's like, well, I couldn't get one. Target, no. Anyway, so long story short, thrilled for PS5. But it's still at the same time I've been and I'm a very vocal advocate of it, despite obviously some of the kickbacks of like no Xbox players, boo. Like I don't get the console war stuff. I'm like okay, I'm still gonna want to have this on Xbox. I still want this to come and to be on as many platforms as possible. I think the natural or at least the natural on road for it. Like if we do not hear about Xbox in May at the Fan Fest, we won't. Like it's. Okay, it would be a whole other expansion. All the roadblocks have been removed for everything that we know. Anybody's like, oh, there's a roadblock that Microsoft put in place back in 2014. That doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Phil
Spencer has all the things that kept Xbox from being what it needed to be to have 14 on it. Phil Spencer, not just for 14, but Phil Spencer in general, those things happen to be on the list of things he very quickly got rid of.
And Yoshi P wants this. Like it seems like everybody wants this except for like a handful of people in that regards, and that's fine. Beyond those that aspect, the reason why I say I don't think they're going to add it if it's not a pre-order item. Like it's like typically when they open up pre-orders, they've announced their platforms, and we haven't got those platform announcements at the first Fan Fest ever in that regards. And historically speaking, usually it's like, oh, by the way, it's
too
coming.
Far out to call a date.
It's coming to Mac. Oh, cool! You can pre-order. It's like they'll show that stuff. So I would hope that maybe in May we'll have that kind of news. But I'm gonna have to go into the May event with very low expectations that we're gonna see this game on Xbox, very low, and that way I can come out of the May event going, that was wonderful. I'm so excited for my PC will run this game. My Shadow PC will run this game. I can play 14. I would just be excited for opening up the game to even more gamers out there who've long waited. And the argument that I see that Xbox players don't like JRPGs, which is it's not like I was about to say racist, which is consolist or
it's not true is what it is.
Right. It's a stereotype.
My brothers love JRPGs, and one of them has an up-to-date computer and the other one does not.
Yeah.
The one that does not plays some things on GeForce Now, and so like sometimes he makes the jump, but it's a whole extra. He's got to log into a thing, and he's like, and he is much easier to convince to pick up anything on Xbox. Especially if it's in Game Pass. My goodness, he's like, oh, it's already installing. Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah. Like literally, you name it, he's installing it, and he's like, so what's it about? Like no barrier. Yeah. Just spell the beginning of the name. He's installing, and to get him over that threshold, like JRPGs, that's not an impossible reach, but you got to put them on the platform.
Yeah.
And so 14 just being one of them, right? Final Fantasy 16. You put Final Fantasy 16 in Game Pass for a month, he'd probably give it a shot.
Yeah.
And so I would love to see it open up to more players.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I'm going to switch to Xbox. Like I built this computer in November. I'm going to stay right here. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to play here. I'll pick it up on Xbox because it's like I love the ability just to boot up a console.
Yeah, I would get it over there for gathering or whatever.
Oh, and then we're switched, dadgummit.
Yeah, it would immediately be where's my
Switch?
have a native cloud support, right?
Yeah.
We have aligned ourselves with GeForce Now or Shadow PC or
Yeah,
whoever Square can partner with.
GeForce Now would be a good
becomes
bit.
the official cloud-based platform for Final Fantasy XIV, and you never have to patch, install, update anything ever. You just log in and it just runs at top settings right from the get-go. And you can do it from your phone with a Bluetooth Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's also like, okay, you bring that up and I didn't even think about it. It doesn't run on GeForce Now. And it's like, man, that'd be so good. Other Square Enix games do. And it's like,
one's great on Shadow PC.
One's great. That's where I play. It's like,
one's great.
Yeah. Anyway, so guys,
in theory, I would say WoW might, but that'd be against terms of service.
In theory,
hypothetically,
WoW runs fantastic.
I bet it would run really well.
Yeah. All right, guys. Those are my thoughts. Those are the things that kind of bum me out about. Obviously, over the weekend, lots of things to be excited about. So we just kind of wanted to get that off our chest and talk about it for a bit. Chris, you got any final thoughts?
No. The fact that we can really only name 3 things, and yeah, there's going to be people disappointed over the Melee job choice and stuff like that, but the fact that I can only come up with 3 really true concrete things that I'm upset about, like, do I wish Ishgard housing was instant? Yes. Did I expect it to be? No. And we're getting the Sanctuary system, so I'm going to stop complaining and wait to see what that is. So, like, are there things I wished were different? Sure. But overall, like, it's nice to say, okay, that's it. That's the tiny number of things out of an 8-hour announcement cycle that I wish were different.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them I didn't even expect to be true. The other I'm not that upset about. I just kind of wish it were true. And the Ultimate is the only one. And it's not their fault. Like, it is the best answer of the bad options they have available.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know your thoughts below if you're also still hanging out with us and you haven't followed over on Twitch.
This is the place to vent.
This is the place to vent. Or you can go vent to Chris directly over on Twitch. He should be live right now while this video is running between 8 and 2 p.m. 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. So anyway, for Work to Game, my name is Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks so much for watching, and we hope to see you in our next one. But until then,
take care.